Does horizon scanning actually work? Horizon scanning is said to be a vital part of food fraud risk mitigation, but does it actually work? Horizon scanning is the act of trying to anticipate threats that might develop in the future. It's used in all sorts of fields and industries. For example, in healthcare, horizon scanning is used to provide early warning for pandemics. In cybersecurity, horizon scanning might assess quantum computing developments for their potential impact on encryption systems. In food fraud and in food supply chains in general, horizon scanning is the act of trying to anticipate or predict how future situations might cause problems in supply chains or affect the likelihood of food fraud occurring. Food fraud horizon scanning is a big part of my work. I've spent hours searching for, reviewing and collecting future risk food fraud relevant information for paying subscribers and for our food fraud database, our Trello board, every week. Horizon scanning is recommended by all food fraud experts, and it's a non-negotiable requirement of the BRCGS Food Safety Management System standard for tens of thousands of certified food companies worldwide. But does it actually work? Does horizon scanning actually help to predict potential food fraud activities, and can those predictions be used to mitigate risk? This is a big topic and one that I would love to see the food fraud academics get their teeth into. It's certainly too large for me to fully analyse on a scientific level in this week's newsletter. What I want to do instead is share 3 wins from our horizon scanning activities. Orange juice. At the end of last year, I posted news of an emerging risk for oranges and orange juice in issue 69 after reading an article in Bloomberg about a citrus tree disease in Brazil. The article warned of long-term supply issues and rising prices because Brazil is a major orange producer and because world production of orange juices has shifted towards Brazil after Florida's orange crops were ravaged by the same disease. I warned that the predicted supply problems and rising prices could increase the likelihood of fraud and said fraud could include misrepresentation of the origin or grade of fruit. For juices and concentrates, the addition of undeclared sweeteners or flavouring compounds is a risk. Just 2 months later, in February 2023, the media in Brazil reported on food fraud in orange juice. A factory making juice that was marketed as whole orange juice, but was instead made with added water, sugars and concentrated juices, had its operations suspended and tens of thousands of litres of its products seized by authorities after they found irregularities during an anti-fraud inspection. Now, this could be a coincidence, or it could be evidence of the value of horizon scanning, even if it's only anecdotal evidence. Predictions like the one in this example can be used as a prompt to check fraud vulnerabilities because supply chain pressures change and make food fraud more likely. Eggs and bird flu. Over the past 6 months, we've recorded multiple news items about egg production decreases and egg price increases and flagged these as having the potential to increase food fraud in eggs. The egg supply problems are blamed on bird flu and are being experienced in multiple countries. Have there been more cases of food fraud in eggs due to bird flu? Perhaps. With food fraud usually hidden, it's hard to know. But there has been at least one publicly reported egg fraud incident linked to bird flu, which occurred in February. A large shipment of eggs was seized and destroyed in the Philippines because they were suspected of being from an area affected by bird flu and were not allowed to be imported into the area. The alleged fraud was related to the paperwork, which allegedly misrepresented the origin of the eggs to circumvent the import ban. So, horizon scanning told us to watch out for eggs because of bird flu. Then we recorded a possible fraud in eggs due to bird flu. It's not rocket science, but there appears to be value in the process of watching for risks. Meat in the United Kingdom. A leading food fraud commentator just revealed that testing for fraud-affected meat increased by 300% in the United Kingdom after enforcement authorities notified the food industry of possible problems via the Food Industry Intelligence Network. The food industry was told about the possibility of fraudulent labelling of imported beef as British by the Enforcement Agency in 2021, and I included it as a horizon scanning record in our Trello food fraud database in October of that year. 18 months later, the not British beef scandal is now public knowledge and is being reported in the mainstream media. In this case, the British food industry was forewarned about the possibility of fraud, and they increased the frequency of testing so that the fraud could be detected and future frauds hopefully prevented. Conclusion. Each of the 3 food fraud incidents described above was flagged in advance by horizon scanning processes. Horizon scanning appears to have value as a food fraud mitigation activity, anecdotally at least. In short, horizon scanning is used to anticipate threats that might develop in future, including food fraud vulnerabilities. Food fraud vulnerabilities change, and it is important to keep up to date with potential new threats in food supply chains. News of supply chain pressures, price increases, and enforcement investigations can provide indications of possible food fraud risks. 3 recent food fraud incidents had been flagged in past horizon scanning processes. These 3 incidents provide anecdotal evidence of the value of horizon scanning.